What's up, guys? Justin Woltering here with the My Muscle Academy, and today I want to talk to you about an integrated approach of Eastern and Western philosophy to heal yourself. Because in today's world, there's so many extremes. You got these new age quacks over here, you got these super linear-minded science nerds over here, and they want to butt heads, but I want to bring you the best of both worlds. That's what the My Muscle Academy is all about. That's why I created this. On top of that, guys, I have the experience of being through this injury in the last year. I had everything on the line: career, money, everything. And I dealt with this injury, so I've learned firsthand how to work through this on every level: physically, emotionally, spiritually, you name it. So let's just rewind to give you a little backstory here. About a year ago, I was with Dymatize. We flew into Florida. We had a big expo going on. I think we're in Orlando. Bella Falcone gym, I believe. Badass gym. We're in there with everyone in the top of the industry. The energy is high. Everyone's buzzing. We got top athletes. We got hot chicks. We got photographers, videographers, lights, action, you name it. So it is popping. This is a happening spot right now. And my ego got the best of me. I started killing curls. I was doing crazy Olympic movements that I never usually do. And just lost that awareness. So rule number one: check your ego at the door, guys. That's just the real deal. It's so much easier said than done, especially when it comes to training and physique. But you have to know how to pull yourself out of this situation. And that's where, to tie in the Eastern philosophy and the New Age stuff, I believe that the mind exists outside of the body as well. I don't think it's just these chemical reactions that are happening in our brain and that's it and we're dead. So I feel like you have to be open to that, because your body is giving you signals of what you need to work on, what you need to be aware of. So for me, for example, I had felt some tightness in those tendons and in the shoulder over that time period, but I had photo shoots lined up, I had business projects, I had to keep pushing through. And if I had been intelligent, if I had been more aware, I would have known that my body was sending me warning signs, and I would not have ignored them. So what do you do about this from a Western scientific standpoint is that you have to know how the biomechanics of these joints work. You have to know how the skeletal system works in the shoulders to really have that shoulder mobility to stay functional and stay healthy. And on top of that, if you want that rounded shoulder aesthetic, that is a product of its function. You have to be able to move a certain way to create that type of development to sculpt the shoulders in that fashion. Anyway, what you want to think about is that the scapula oftentimes can get locked up where, for example, one can be rolled down and the other can be rolled back. This creates an asymmetry. You have to be aware of your body to know that, okay, the opposing muscles on this side need to be worked to externally rotate this shoulder. On this side, I need to internally rotate to create a more symmetrical look. You have to know that the supraspinatus comes from underneath the collarbone and hooks into the shoulder. So your arm has to be mobile in this direction. You have to know all of these things. You have to know that constantly gripping overhand day to day, whether it's suitcases or barbells, is going to internally rotate your elbow and internally rotate your shoulder, which can create impingement and a lot of pain. So what was I doing? I was doing heavy ass bench press. I'm talking 400 pounds, 315 every single week for a decade. Tons of heavy deadlift, just grip it and rip it, pull it off the ground. And what is this going to do to you is that you're going to get this mass, and I really want to be big, strong, and powerful, but you have to fill in the gaps as well. You have to have all those little tiny muscles working: the rear delts, the low traps, the teres major, teres minor, all those details in the back have to tie in. Full lat development. So often the lats are overstretched at the bottom and not activating properly. And what I did with this injury, I couldn't raise my arm very well. I was like, all right, I got to get physical therapy, see if I need to go get an MRI. I went direct to the PT. This dude was awesome, and he helped me so much. We just started on the ground on all fours, just kind of rounding the back and just holding that position there, feeling the abs integrate in. So IOTA, internal obliques, transverse abdominis, and feeling these deep core muscles squeeze and get tight, feeling your glutes tie in with your abs, and then you're kind of laying your foundation, layering it vertebrae by vertebrae, like these are cylinders climbing up your body that's laying the foundation for all of your future pressing movements. And when it comes to horizontal pressing, you want to picture that your scapula can break free and roll over the top a little bit as you're coming down into a push-up, because a lot of people can arc their back and do 20 pull-ups and 50 push-ups, but are you actually having the proper movement of the scapula? So this becomes a pattern overload, especially if you're into a lot of powerlifting like I was. So I become so dominant in those patterns that I wasn't hitting all the other angles and vectors in between. You have to be aware that all of that needs to work properly and flow properly. So this might be a prehab routine that you use 10 minutes before you train and kind of simplify it down to make sure that everything is activated, warm, and ready to go. This might be active recovery stuff that you do on your days off, laying on your stomach using a lacrosse ball or a tennis ball to roll the fronts of your shoulders, stretching your neck, making sure your traps aren't too bound up on one side. And all this is so crucial. And then comes the Eastern philosophy, guys, and I'm just as passionate about this. And then Aikido, I learned so many things. I learned how to use deep breathing, using box breathing, which is a 5-second inhale, 5-second hold, a 5-second exhale, a 5-second hold, different breathing patterns. And what you'll realize through this breathing that I realized in PT is that all of these scalene muscles in your neck are attached to your diaphragm, which controls how you're moving. So if these become tight, you're shallow breathing all the time, then you're going to become imbalanced, your neck's going to get imbalanced, nerves are going to get pinched, it's going to affect your shoulders, it's going to affect your biceps, it's going to affect your elbows, and it's going to create all kinds of problems all down your entire arm. So understand where your nerves are, not just your muscles, because this is so crucial for being aware of everything. Even the mobility in your fingers, you have to know how all of these things work. How does your grip work? Are you too loose on your grip? Are you gripping tight enough? If you're gripping hard enough, you're sending feedback to your shoulder to help stabilize the shoulder. So all these things matter. And then on a more metaphysical level, I'll tell you that you have to be aware of where you're storing dark energy, emotional trauma, because so many of us are dealing with this but not acknowledging it. This creates chronic tension, alters your hormone levels, and just inflames the joints so they can't perform properly first and foremost. So what you want to think about is doing a morning meditation, releasing these neck muscles with breathing, sending light positive energy to the areas that have been bothering you, releasing this dark energy from yourself, and start there with a basic breathing routine. Let me know what you guys think of this video. If you want more metaphysical breathing routines, if you want to see the exact shoulder moves that I use to rebuild my shoulder, let me know. Either way, head over to the My Muscle Academy at justinwoltering.com, and I'll see you on the other side. Peace.